Today, when the advancement of technology is taking place at an exponential rate, electric vehicles are the new means of transport to fulfill the greater demand of people, which is increasing day by day. Electric vehicles have become more of a necessity when we think about the increasing pollution, pollution borne diseases, increasing demand but diminishing supply of fuel, and global warming. Have you ever wondered how electric vehicles will shape the future? Have you ever thought about the challenges this field faces in the manufacturing and implementation stages? I have always thought about it, and I'm excited to learn about it today. I'm sure a lot of you would have wondered about the same and are eager to learn from a professional in that field. Prajnay Rajulu, the manufacturing strategy lead on battery and vehicle at Pravaig, is here to enlighten us on these topics. He will cover the Pravaig car and its development. He is a mechanical engineer who holds a master's degree in industrial and systems engineering at the University of Wisconsin Madison. He is passionate about building world class products and is currently working in the electric vehicle domain. Before this, he was the founder of Realize 3D, a 3D printing and product development startup for 7 years, where they enabled several hardware companies in bringing their lives ideas to life. Good morning, sir. Thank you for accepting our invitation. It's an honor to have you with us today. I'm pleased to welcome everyone to the first guest lecture of the Synergy Outreach Program, Scintilla, brought to you by Synergy 22, the annual technical symposium of Mechanical Engineering Department, NIT Tirchi. We thank our youth partner and sponsor, Boom Panda, for their support. Sir, now you can take over this session and enlighten us with your knowledge and experience. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Sindhya, and good morning to everybody, and welcome to this great initiative by NIT Trichy. I think in these times, now that we can't have a physical fest. Are you guys having a physical fest, by the way? I don't think so, no?
Not right
Y-
now, sir.
That's what, yeah. So,
Yeah.
to do something like this, it's good, engaging. I'm a mechanical engineer, so I'm from the same background. So I understand we didn't have these kind of opportunities back then, but it's good that you're doing this good initiative. And hi, guys, welcome. Good morning. I hope you all are not getting irritated on a Sunday morning. So I'm going to keep this session fun. It's not going to be like your standard lectures in class. Okay. So a little bit about me. I think Sandhya has already told you I've done my mechanical engineering. Um, I have a master's in industrial engineering, specializing in manufacturing. I came back after I graduated, and then I ran a 3D printing and designed 3D printing and product development company for about 7 8 years. And I've been with Pravaig Dynamics for the last, I would say, 18 months. We're still a startup. I think we'll be a startup for the next 3 4 years at least. Uh, so I came in initially to help them with prototyping and development of their systems and subsystems, and now I have taken a slightly larger role, and we're figuring out the strategy of how to build this kind of I know I'll get into the business model in detail, but just a brief, I kind of build a strategy around how we're going to build, develop, and manufacture these vehicles. And you'll soon learn that Pravaig is not just into vehicle manufacturing, although that's our core competency. So, yeah, guys, and please, Jordan, I think I've been told that you guys can put your questions down in the comment section. Uh, put all the questions down, and I think we'll answer them maybe at the end of the session. I'll keep some time for that. Ideally, I would like an interactive session, but I think the circumstances don't allow that. So please put up your questions in the comment section, and I think your team, your classmates here will relay them to me, and then we can answer them towards the end of the session. Okay. So let me share my screen, guys. Just a second. Yes. Can you all see my screen?
Not yet, sir, I guess.
Just a sec. Just a sec. I think it's asking for some permission. Just hold on a second. Can you guys see it now?
Sir, you can select the screen and then share, sir.
Okay, you know what? It's asking me to close this and reopen. Yeah, let me just do that. I'm going to log off the call for a second. Okay. Right. I should be able to do it now. Yeah. Can you see my screen, guys?
Yes, sir, it's shown now. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Let me just start the slideshow. Yeah. I hope you all can see my screen and hear me as well.
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. Sorry for the glitch, guys. I was not able to share it, and I by the time I granted permission, I had to relog in. So it happens. Okay. So yeah. So you know what? My introduction is already done. I have a background in digital manufacturing and 3D printing. Uh, Actually, I've done a lot of 3D printing right from 2012 to even now. I still do I'll touch upon this a little later, but Pravaig Dynamics does a lot of 3D printing and digital manufacturing to bring down their prototyping cycle times and to effectively your time to market is reduced. So they're slightly expensive processes, but we've adopted these because we're a team of really young engineers, and we want the best, most efficient, quickest output. it does cost a little money, but we've chosen that route. So let me start with a brief, very, very brief overview of the auto industry right now. There are 26 million vehicles. Uh, this includes your two-wheeler, three-wheeler, four-wheeler, multi-axle. And, India is slated, I think we're the fifth largest automotive market right now, but we are slated to become the third largest automotive market by 2026, 2027. And I don't know if you guys know, but last year we announced 100% FDI. That's the foreign investment in the EV space. So right now, that's how Tesla has come. Tesla has opened up their office in Bangalore. So 100% FDI is basically they can just come in as Tesla itself. They don't have to enter with a tie-up, with an Indian company. So that's just a brief where we stand today and where we're headed. Let's get into EVs now. Let's not, be generic. Let's specifically talk about electric vehicles. The EV market is expected to grow at a rate of 44%, right? Over the next 6 to 8 years, we will see a great, great growth in the EV space. Right now itself, I don't know which city where all of your audience is sitting, but I'm from Bangalore, so I'm here and I can talk to Bangalore. And there's a huge surge in the green board. Right now, there's all electric vehicles are mandated to have a green color registration plate. So there's a huge surge. There are a lot of cars. With Tata Nexon, I think it became affordable also. I think the Nexon EV, you get it for 14, 15 lakhs. So, prior to that, there was, of course, the MG and the Hyundai, but they were expensive. And then Tata brought a cheap electric car, and then you see a lot of people buying that car now. Uh, you know, we're expecting 6.34 million unit annual sales, right? That's not a small number. I mean, it's a small number compared to the current, Maruti, Hyundai, and Toyota. But in just 4 5 years from now, we aim to hit 6.35 million unit sales. That's a lot, and that's a good thing for EV because you'll also understand a little later that only when everybody else starts making electric cars will electric cars get cheaper. You know, one of the main reasons, I don't know if you guys know, but Elon Musk withdrew all his patents in the year 2015. He came out and he said that instead of complaining about the price of an electric car, why don't all of you start making electric cars so that the price of each part and subsystem becomes cheaper. You hit quantity, so the volumes and your price automatically comes down. So that was, and then the just sheer employment perspective, you will have a lot of jobs created by the industry. When I say industry, I don't mean just the electric car and bike manufacturer. I'm talking about the two or three main parts that make up an electric car or a bike is the motor and the battery. Now they have allied industries, auxiliary industries. They will thrive, and the employment will just rapidly increase. And at the center of all this will sit the mechanical engineers. You guys, right? So I'm sure most of you are going to graduate and go abroad and study masters and even stay back and do their study further. But your backing of mechanical engineering gives you that option to do anything, right? In your masters, you can do anything and then kind of contribute in this space. So I just want to make that point here that in the coming 10 years, this decade, things are going to change drastically. You could draw a parallel to how tech happened to India in 2001, and this similar thing is going to happen even in this coming decade. Okay, these are generic advantages. I just wanted to mention it because it's we're in this topic. So obviously you save money because let me tell you the cost of running a car today, a diesel car at the current price of 85 86 rupees will be about 6 to 8 rupees depending on the car, 6 to 10 rupees per kilometer. An electric car today will cost you less than a rupee per kilometer. That you're saving 6 times the amount of money for the same distance travel. So that's a very important factor. And here it's not just the cost; it's the fact that you use the energy efficiently, right? So I'll touch upon that as well. The you can see the pie chart explaining how the how the depreciation is more for EV. But you know what? Like it's environment friendly. There are absolutely zero emissions from a EV car, and apart from emissions, there's actually no noise. Not like that's a big problem now, but there is no noise. I don't know if anyone of you have had the opportunity to sit in an electric car. but it's quite as if it, like you have no idea that the car is even on and moving until you open your eyes and you see the motion there. So there is no, so since there's no engine and there's no, not too many moving parts, the of course the powertrain, drivetrain, everything is stationary except your motor moves. But apart from the servicing of the motor and maybe a wheel alignment, there is no service. So compared to a traditional ICE, you spend a lot of money in maintaining your car, right? So that bit won't be there in this case. You just have to align your wheels once in a while and check your motor if something goes wrong, which is, by the way, you get 10 plus year warranties on your motors. So you're quite good with respect to maintenance. And of course, I don't know, again, I don't know if any of you have sat in an electric car and experienced the instant torque that's delivered to the wheels. It's absolutely instant because there is no engine, piston, and torque converter to translate your throttle into a wheel moving, right? That takes, seconds sometimes. And in a good powerful car, it takes like, 3/4 a second or half a second. But in an electric car, the minute you touch the throttle, the torque's at the wheels, right? It's instant. So you feel that boost actually, which is why I think most of you being mechanical engineers would have definitely checked this out on YouTube. Some of the Tesla races and drag races it's had with, some of the supercars, and it beats them being a family car. So that's also because of this, the amount of torque that's generated, and it's instant. So that's, these are, when I say advantage of EV, I mean like this is like these are pros over a traditional ICE car. So let me come to the future EVs. Now, I didn't want to have a presentation for this. I want to make it a little interesting, and see, I want all of you all, everybody sitting today in this session, to understand that when I say EV, it's not about building a nice, good-looking car and that gives you 500 km range. It's not just that. There is so much that goes into an electric car, because an electric car company, an EV company, is a combination of a traditional auto company and the future, like a software company. The best of both. So it's actually a little more complicated. I want you to understand the nuances involved in this. There are problems. I'll touch upon the challenges as well in the next coming slide. But know that the future is EV. The revolution has already started. You guys must have seen the whole Ola story and what they're doing with. Let me put things into perspective. The total number of electric vehicles that was sold in India was near about 100,000, about a lakh, till about August or September this year. And Ola alone sold over a lakh of scooters in 2 days flat. So that means those many people actually paid money. They've expressed their intent to purchase the bike. So it's here. People want it. Plus, the government's pushing for it. There are policies in place. They first said they want to make all vehicles electric by 2030, and then they realized it's a little impractical. So it's here. It's here to stay. And if you want to be involved in the EV space, this is the time to jump on the bandwagon and stay tight. There'll be a lot of hindrances, a lot of hiccups, but if you want to stay in this, there are some really, really interesting challenges and problems to solve. And Pravaig is, I would say, in the four-wheeler front, EV four-wheeler front, apart from the standard, Tata, Hyundai, and all, is at the forefront of this. The problems that we face on a daily basis, the solutions that we have, all of us put our minds together, and it is interesting, but there are challenges. So please keep that in mind. I just wanted to give you a small reality check. And coming to the future of EV. So in a country like India that's so populated, I think one space or one area in which the EVs will actually play a very, very vital role is mass transport. If even half the buses and auto rickshaws in the city, let's pick the top 10 urban areas in India, 10 cities, and if even if buses and auto rickshaws, half of them become electric, the pollution right now, I mean, I'm sure all of you know, Delhi and Calcutta are right on top in the world's most polluted cities, right? There's so much smog, there's so much. What the electric vehicles can do is pretty much overnight reduce that. Overnight, there'll be no smog and no pollution, no smoke, no emissions, right? So that is one big aspect in which there is a push. I think Delhi, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra have already ordered electric buses. I mean, they will take time to deliver and make and produce, but they have been ordered. There's intent shown. So I would say in the next, I would say probably 1.5 2 years, you would see a lot of electric buses in the top 10 cities in India. And so that's one aspect of where it's heading. And one more important factor is B2B logistics, right? At Pravaig also, we have a lot of prototyping and manufacturing happen constantly, and we need supplier support for all of this, right? It's not like I can make everything in the car, the wheel, the steering, the column, the shaft. There's some things that we don't want to make because we don't want to reinvent the wheel. It's already there. We're here to make a excellent electric car, so we don't want to delay and digress in that. So then logistics plays a very important role. We have parts coming in from the industrial area in Bangalore to our factory almost every day, and that those are generally run by trucks and three-wheeler, these IC engines vehicles. So I mean, extremely polluting diesel trucks. So this is another space. There's going to be a big boom for electric vehicles, where the three wheelers. Mahindra has already launched their. It's called the Mahindra Trio. I don't know if any of you checked it out. So Mahindra Trio is basically a three-wheeler battery, mostly meant for logistics and good movement of goods, not so much for transportation, like your private auto rickshaws. This is for goods. So that's another space that is in dire need for some change with respect to purely with respect to the environment. The I don't know how many of you guys are aware about the Paris Agreement that happened in 2015. Some of the promises made by countries there to make it happen, to achieve those promises. EV is the only way ahead for transportation, urban transportation, electric vehicles. So there's no other way they can match their promises made in the Paris Agreement for climate change, the efforts in that direction. So that's these two are very important: the logistics space and the mass transport. So it's not just about making a fancy-looking Tesla and driving with your family. That's not. I mean, that's going to happen, but I'm talking with respect to the environment, with respect to the country, with respect to the country becoming developed in its way of things, is logistics and mass transport. And one more thing is what's happening with EVs is the range in most of these cars, at least the electric cars in the Indian roads, the claim range is anywhere between 300 to 400, but the actual range that you get is 200, 220, 230 kilometers, right? So that is a huge deterrence to buy a electric car right now. For any customer buying his first car, he will think twice because he's not able to do even 300 kilometers in one charge, right? So every company actually around the world is working towards getting your 500 kilometers range, because once you hit that figure, I'm saying a real life range, not claim range. Like you should be able to get 500 in real life on the road, probably on the highway, driving at 80 and 100, not just at 40. So that's the next thing the EVs are going to focus on, and technically that will involve two, three things. You'll have to make a bigger battery, uh, but a bigger battery also means bigger weight, bigger skateboard. So your cars have to become larger. There are some complication technicalities with respect to. See, there is a curve. You'll have to match your vehicle. You have to match 3 4 metrics. It has to give you 500 kilometer range, but it has to also be affordable. Imagine I make a car that gives you 600 kilometer range, but costs 2 crores. Nobody's going to buy it. So where do I draw the line? How do I match these balances? So that's what pretty much every EV company in the world is working on right now. Tesla and Lucid have already hit 550, 600 miles. So that's good because the batteries are really, really expensive and highly high energy density in those batteries. So they're able to hit, but their vehicles are premium. They're expensive. So you'll have to kind of balance out what you're trying to do versus who your customers are going to be. That's the challenge. But that's the one of the things that they're going to focus on is making larger range vehicles. And what's happening is I don't know if you guys know, but in an electric car, 60 to 65% of the car's value is the battery, which is not the case for a IC engine car. In your traditional petrol or diesel car, I mean, the engine is probably worth 10% to 20%, depending on the car and the performance. So in this, most of the cost of the car is the battery. So that's pushing, local manufacturing of EV batteries. So that's another thing that I see in India that's going to happen. which you should all keep in mind, because I don't know if you're in fourth year and third year, you're going to graduate soon, right? You might want to explore the EV space. But please know that EV space is not, I mentioned just now that it's not just about making the car, it's about making the battery for the car. And making the battery need not necessarily involve, sitting on a shop floor and seeing a car being built. You might be making a battery somewhere else, which goes into a car being made somewhere else. But battery manufacturing is a very, very important aspect of EV. In fact, the most critical aspect. And there's a big push to bring in battery manufacturing in India. We can proudly say that Pravaig has designed, fabricating, and manufacturing its own batteries, right? Completely in-house in our facility in Bangalore. And so that's going to happen. There's a huge push that's going to bring all EV battery manufacturing locally, right? So that's going to happen. Some of the big players have already started their setups. Amaron batteries, they've set up. Exide and Leclanche have started already a facility in Ahmedabad called Next Charge. So that's another part of the future of EV in India. That this is an aspect that people generally don't talk about, but this is going to happen. This already started happening. That's a very important part also. And lots of indigenous EV companies are going to spring up. Uh, I can tell you that there are 2, 3 other four-wheeler startups, EV startups in India, but they are in stealth mode. We were in stealth for almost 8 years, right? 7 years we were in stealth. And then we came out of stealth in 2020, in December of 2020, in a launch event in Delhi. Like that, but bike companies, there are tons. There are 8 startups in Bangalore alone making electric two-wheelers. Ather, Ola, Simple, and so many of the others. So a lot of these companies will now spring up. That leads to more employment. The future will be like smaller companies. Obviously, of course, all you people should also understand that this space, if you're trying to make a car or bike, it requires a huge level of investment from other companies. So generally, these companies, smaller companies, are supported by larger companies. So Ola has funding. This Ather is funded by Hero. So you need capital, because some of the machines manufacturing you need are expensive right now. But that's not going to stop anybody from starting companies in two and four-wheeler companies. So if you guys have any ideas, anything, I think you should just start. That's always been my advice to students. Don't think, just do. Okay, move first and move fast. Just remember this. Today's market, everything is so crowded, saturated. Everybody wants to do the same thing, right? So you have to move first. You have to move fast. Okay. Now we'll come to the interesting part of EV space, which generally people don't talk about. When they see a Tesla, they're just very excited to work in a company like Tesla, without understanding what the challenges are for the industry. And the ones that are mentioned on this slide, that there's range anxiety, and yeah, because I don't know, I'm on the highway and I don't know if I have 50 more kilometers on my battery. So that's called range anxiety. Refueling time, in this case, recharging time. Through a standard AC outlet, you can charge your car will take 6 to 8 hours to charge. Now, where on the highway you're going to sit and wait for 6 to 8 hours, right? So then you have supercharging and turbocharging requirements. Those require huge capital, huge power requirements. Let me also tell you something, guys. If the India's original plan was to electrify all the vehicles on the road today to by 2030, and I will tell you something. Even if 30% of the cars today on the Indian roads are made electric, there will be grid failure. There is no energy sufficient enough to. Everybody's going to be charging the cars in the night, right? You'll have a grid failure. You won't have power in your house to have light and fan on. So these are kind of problems that people generally tend to overlook, but these are real problems. There are efforts being made in that space. There are efforts made by the government, but please remember that it's not all rosy. Like the picture painted right now in the media, it's there are challenges, but all solvable problems and very interesting challenges. Now I'll touch upon something very interesting. These are some of the hurdles we face, right? We as in Pravaig and generally the EV industry, because we have guys from other electric vehicle companies working in our company now. I have some of my other guys from my team who are working with us and now working with other EV companies. So this is something that you guys should know now. I thought it was important to tell this now, because you all will be in the market, in a year or two from now, you all will be working. So please understand that these challenges are standard. You Google challenges for EV, you'll know this. These are the problems. But this is something that we really face on the ground. For the last 2 years we've been facing. Again, not unsolvable problems, but these are problems that currently we face. So let me talk about supply ecosystem. Low value products. Okay, EVs generally require newer manufacturing assembly processes. Like I might need to make something very interesting for my battery pack, you know. But currently in the ecosystem, in the supply ecosystem in Pune, Chennai, or Bangalore, I don't have anyone making something like this, right? So there's no high value stuff, and there is no initiative from these suppliers also to make that, right? So they can actually develop a process in house, but and then they'll become a universal supply for all the electric companies. But that intent, that mindset is not there, which is I would say a little unfortunate. But hopefully things are changing. You know, I'll give an example. Pravaig is a 80-20 made in India by mass, but 20-80 by foreign value. So we're only 20% value from India. Although 80% of things are made in the mass by the material is made here, by value it's not, because the most important part is the battery pack, and most of the parts in the battery pack, including the cells, have to be imported. So that's a concern. I hope you guys are the future, so you guys come out and ensure this kind of thing doesn't happen. And the company you're working for, just be open to innovation, open to building stuff. It's another thing, India. I mean, we're generally a service-oriented country, so we tend to. That's the point written there, not service, still service-driven. We still tend to, try to do service rather than building stuff from ground up. Somehow we sidetrack and we think that, oh, that's not our job, then you build it and then we'll deliver it, we'll do a service. So that's another concern that I personally face a lot when I speak to most of my suppliers. This is one problem area, because we're like, why don't you guys build this system and we can co-build it, together? And they're like, no, this is what's available, so we'll just work with these. That's the kind of mindset that I think needs to change. And of course, yeah, I don't need to mention this to you, but in general, our slow response time and bureaucracy. We interact with a lot of Chinese suppliers, and you guys will learn soon too. If you shoot out a requirement to a Chinese supplier, and within a day or two, he reverts with everything you want and more. All the process. He'll suggest like 10 other alternatives to your process, materials, everything. They're super quick. They're very enterprising, which is why they're kind of leading in the manufacturing supply space, right? And so I think we need to learn a thing or two from them with respect to this. You know, economic scale. See, in the EV space, the demand is not yet there, right? Maruti made a statement the other day. Yeah, we will make electric cars, but we need 100,000 plus the demand of 100,000 plus cars a year. That'll take a while to reach, right? So because of that, because the demand is low, you start making smaller number of cars. Instead of 100,000 cars, you'll have to make 3 or 4,000 cars. Now, when you make 3 or 4,000 cars, the parts, the die that you make, the molds that you make, I'm sure all of you touched upon in manufacturing process. You make a mold, right? The mold, the tool life is probably 200,000 numbers. But if you have 2,000 cars to make, you'll order just 2,000. So the unit price for each is more. So that's one big problem that we're facing right now. We want more people to get into this, more people to. It's like a cycle, I'd say. So more people should want the car, more people should build the car. So there should be a link between those two, and that's on the supply ecosystem side. This is interesting. This is I really want to touch upon this area because this will apply to all of you all. See, I don't know. You can probably put down in the comment section how many of you guys agree that the good ones, the good talent generally lead India, right? I think they do. I have a lot of friends who studied, who worked in Tesla, who are still working in Tesla actually, who work in Lucid, who work in the EV industry in the US, right? They went to study, they stayed there, they work, and we would really, right now, we really, really require that kind of talent, but they're there, right? So that's one big problem that we're facing. Think about this, guys. I'm not saying go study and come back. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying keep this in mind. If you, this is a problem that any one of you all join the EV space here locally in India, you will face this problem. Like some of the guys you interview like 100 guys, you take 2 guys, and then 2 guys are actually interesting. They know the subject, the matter, and they're interesting to hire. But you would have interviewed 100 and 98 guys actually don't fit. Although on paper they do, that's because most of the good talent is actually left. So I mean, that's what I personally feel as well. Also, I touched upon this earlier. We don't have a tendency to build. Okay, this is very, 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 very essential for EV because everything is evolving. Right now, the cell that Tesla uses in the batteries itself has changed. I don't know if you all heard about the 46-800. So the cells have become fatter and bigger. Okay, they can hold more energy in the same footprint. So everybody in the industry have to kind of uh, fall into or align with that thought process because Tesla is a I'd say a benchmark in this industry, right? So most suppliers will start making stuff for Tesla, and then your stuff will become costlier if you don't make a similar kind of battery. So in a sense, the EV industry is constantly evolving, and people should have the mentality that okay, we'll just buy this from them should change because you have to build customized bespoke systems and subsystems. And generally, this is also a little personal. Some people might agree with me, some people might not. We have a risk-averse culture, right? Uh, People don't want to take a risk. Some reasons might be legitimate. They might have a family that's relying on them, and they don't want to take a risk with their career. But we need to take this in this space, the EV space, right now, where in the the phase it is in right now, it needs high risk taking talent. You should be able to take risk to build stuff. You should go out of what you studied in the classroom and be in the front of take initiative. See a system. It's all basics. If your basics are strong, you can build an EV. I'm telling you this much, right? You don't need a master's degree. You don't need anything. If your basics are strong, you should just be willing to build. Start from scratch. Build. Like own it and build it, which is what we're trying really hard at Pravaig to do. This is a little, yeah. This is it's very valid, by the way. Make in India is the. I'm not saying make in India is a challenge. I'm saying in India, what happens is only large companies that survive innovation cycles. So your hero, there are these mammoth already established companies, right? So what do? They are already there. So if you're going to start something, the competition is already stiff. They have deep pockets. They pump in money, and so you are already limited to your innovations are limited because your innovation to execute something you innovated requires capital, huge amounts of money, and that becomes a challenge for this thing. I don't know if you guys know there's a production linked incentive. It's a policy actually, but what does it mean if you don't have a product? See, it doesn't really help a startup. It helps again a big company. The PLI actually says if your revenue is above 10,000 crore, then you can take the subsidy. But you to hit 10,000 crore global revenue, you're going to take a while, and you need that capital right now. So there are some challenges, and there is no one talks about this again. It's a little taboo to talk about it, but there's a deep mistrust, against Indian innovation. See, like there's this Twitter equivalent. I don't know if most of you heard of it. It's called Coup, right? But how many of us use it? How many of us explode, even download the app, checked it out? Because there's like this, okay, they brush it aside saying, it's an Indian app, so it won't be that good. So there's this intrinsic problem that we have. And then, of course, the compliance tax, the admin related stuff that they've, I would say in 10 years, the last 10 years, lots has changed. It's become slightly easier than it was 10 years back. But I think that a lot more can be done by the government on this to make this a breeze, easy to start, easy to survive. And compliance, there are absolutely too many regulations to match and meet at every stage. And we faced this as well. So we hope things change by the time you graduate and start your company. So that's the future of EV and the challenges in a broad perspective. Please put your questions down in the comments. And now I will be moving to Pravaig Dynamics as a company, what we're doing, our business model, and what we're up to, and our plans for the next few years. Uh, I'm going to switch over to another presentation. Just one second. So just remember this slide, guys. The best way to move in a city. I kind of explain why and how in just a bit, but this is something that we're trying to achieve, right? Uh, um, uh, you know, it takes an Indian spends an average of 90 to 120 minutes on the road in urban India. That means pick the top 10 cities in India. 90 to 120 minutes is the average time spent on the road by an individual. So we've we thought, why not make it the best way to move in your city? And I'll just talk about this in a bit. Yeah, guys can see my thing.
Yes, sir. It's visible.
Okay, all right. So like I said, the best way to move in your city, and uh, that's the silhouette of our car, by the way. I don't think more than this can be revealed, but we wanted to take back control. And let me tell you, and let me explain to each one of you what we mean by control here. Control of what, right? Um, I will come to taking back control of what, and you will understand that shortly. A little bit of Pravaig. Pravaig was started in 2011 by two of our founders in Jaipur, and the three areas that, or the two main areas that we will play in are, one is the energy storage. These are large scale UPSs for different applications. Data centers need unlimited power. Your power grids need uninterrupted power. So that space is one, and the second is e-mobility, of course. And we're a made in India, made by India, made for India car. I proudly so, because um, it's all, the talent is local. And we also done something like I'm sure you guys have heard of reverse brain drain. So this February of this year, we went to California. We've hired almost 10 engineers working in the Bay for IT and EV. We actually hired 5 people from Tesla as well. So this is something that we're deeply passionate about, building in India and building for India. So that's it's a little bit of background about Pravaig. So when I said the take back control, that first line, so this is what I mean: time, resources, and sovereignty. Right? Sovereignty in this case, I mean control. Like you should have control over your vehicle, right? See what happens when you buy a car today. When you buy a car, when you step out of the showroom, you have lost 30 to 35% of your car value, right? So that's why already your control is being taken away from you. Your car is worth 65, 70%. Then you come, then it's due for servicing every 3 months. You don't know why, you don't know what they're going to do, and you have to pay them. So then again, they control your car. They control the repair of your car. They control, yeah, that way. That's what we mean by sovereignty. Resources is same, with time and resources are linked hand in hand. So when you're spending 90 to 120 minutes in a car, our intention was to give back that time to you as in you, the rider, the user, so that you can work in your car, you can get ready in your car, you can, let's not just while away the 90 or 100 120 minutes. You come to a meeting from Delhi to Bangalore, you take a 2.5 hour flight, and then you have a 1.5 hour ride to your office. You can get ready in the car, you can work in the car, you can set up your meetings, your schedules, your calendar, all of that in the car, and the privacy of your space. And all of which, what I'm saying now, you will understand shortly about the features of our car and how we intend to give you control back. This has been the journey so far, guys. 2011, like I said, we started in 2011. By 2014, 3 prototypes were built, and 2016 we built 2 more prototypes. By 2018, we had a platform ready. 2020, we launched our R&D center in Bangalore, and that's when we came out of stealth. December 3rd, 2020 was our launch event, our official going to public event. So this is the journey. This has been the journey. 9, 10 years, and you know, we've built. I've just, like I mentioned in this slide, we've built several prototypes. And 2 of them you can see here. They were one is a buggy all-terrain. One's for speed. One is for validation of EV. So all of these prototypes kind of helped us reach this, converge into this point, where we are today. And why we call it, I don't know if most of you must have heard our car is called the Extinction, right? It's called the Extinction because I'd say that it marks the extinction of your traditional ICE. That's why. It's a little deep, but that's why it's called Extinction. So we built buggies first, and then we converged, and we're at Mark 1 Extinction. In so many ways, of first, so what we're trying to do is take back, like give you back your 90 minutes spent in a car to do your work. It could be as you just want to relax, you can relax. I have a 150-degree recline seat with a calf rest, and there's an air purifier. There's a cabin, there's a glass separating the driver cabin from the passenger side. So I'll show you a drawing, a render ahead of this, but we do all of this to basically give you back control of the time instead of you sitting in a. So you know what? I'd like to say one more thing here. Pravaig is not here to compete with any of the luxury cars, right? We're not here to compete with your Mercedes, your the BMWs, your Rolls Royces. But if there is a Pravaig next to a BMW 7 Series, it's a no-brainer to take a Pravaig, and you'll understand why, because of the facilities and amenities we're offering inside the car. It's basically a special purpose machine. You guys have heard of SPM, obviously. So these are purpose driven vehicles. Their main purpose is to give you back your time to do all your work, right? What Praveg initially is going to do is we're going to launch. We're not going to be selling our cars, and in phase one, we're going to be launching a premium luxury sedan taxi. It will be chauffeur driven, so we will be owning, maintaining, driving, charging these cars. As a customer, as a consumer, you can just download the Praveg app and you'll be able to book a ride. And we'll also tie up with some establishments, B2B, like premium hotels and luxury hotels, and they'll probably take 8 or 10 vehicles of ours. They'll again be driven by us and charged by us only. So our customer will never have to worry about charging the vehicle. That will be taken care of by us. And you will get the experience of riding in a taxi, but the best way to ride in the city. This is where the first slide comes in. I asked you to remember the best way to move. This is what we mean. Okay, guys, so you see this slide. So this is a render. Of course, it's the real thing is going to be a slightly different. But you see what I mean. There are just two seats at the rear, right? The seat reclines to 150 plus degrees. You have a tray table on both sides coming out of the armrest in the center, where you can work. You can have a beverage. You can put your laptop, just finish your work like in your aircrafts. And then there's a vanity mirror with a light, so you can always get ready. There are air purifiers, and there's this glass that separates the cabin from the passenger side. So sometimes you might have to take a sensitive call for work, and you might not be comfortable taking a call, that kind of a call in a taxi, right? So we have a glass that and the control for the glass is on the passenger side. So the glass comes up, and then you have absolute privacy from the driver and the front cabin. If you also see the legroom, we're almost 6 inches more than your 7 Series. So our car is pretty long. We have a 5.2, 5.3 meter long car. So we're in that segment already, the S-Class and 7 Series segment. Legroom is more, and your headroom also is larger. Yeah, so this is what I mean by I'm putting back the time factor into your hands. You don't waste that 90 minutes or 120 minutes in a day, right? You be productive. You can finish your work. You have a 15-inch laptop, a tray table that can hold a 15-inch laptop, and you can charge your devices directly. We also have the device, a screen to mirror your smartphone or your tablet. Uh, for mirroring, you can take calls, you can take on calls. We've actually tied up with a French audio company called Diviale. Some of you might have heard of it. They're a premium and high-tech audio company based out of France. And so we'll have, I think, a 12 or 14 speaker arrangement of the Diwali set speakers, giving you excellent sound quality, of course. Then we have, so we have a super quiet cabin with this thing, air purifiers. And we will be making anti animal harming materials. So we won't be using real leather inside the cars, but we will be using vegan leather and other resins to give you that feel. You still have to feel it's premium, right? So for that's an alternative to the standard level. And our BIW team is working really hard. This is going to be a global NCAP 5-star rating car, right? So we've spent a lot of time and money and effort in making this happen. On paper, we're already a 5-star car, and we aim to go for our homologation and testing in the middle of next year. That's where we aim to get the 5 stars that we've always set out to do. This is a little bit about Praveg's plan, Praveg's future. Right now, where we stand, the factory, the Praveg factory is half a gigawatt hour factory. It's not yet a giga factory. We intend to make around 230, 250 cars a month. And, roughly translates to about 10 cars a day. That's the phase one. And this will be only a premium taxi, purpose built vehicle. And we plan to launch in Delhi and Bangalore first, and immediately for phase two, we'll be going to all the other major cities in India. And then for phase two, we're planning to also do we're in talks with the military to make a special purpose vehicle for them. It's a little complicated because you'll have to design to mill grade all your components. So we're in talks with them to do that. So that's the intention for second phase, where we'll have a 10 gigawatt hour setup. We'll be expanding. We'll go move to another facility, and this current factory of ours will become the R&D hub for all future Pravig iterations. And phase 3, 2025, we plan to hit global annual production capacity of 1 million. And we're going to, at that point, we will have a small, mass market hatchback. This will be for sale. The hatchback, the small hatchback that you see there, that will be for sale, this one here. So, guys, I know question is obviously all of you will have is how much will the Pravaig car cost and can you buy one? So right now you can't buy one, but you can definitely ride in one. Yeah. Yeah. I want to reiterate this. When I say take back control, I mean take back control of time, resources, and sovereignty. Right. It's the lower maintenance cost, the controlling your repair and maintainability to you own that, right? You should own it. Ideally, that should be the case, but it's not so right now. And time, of course, you can rest in the car, you can work in the car, you can get ready in the car. Let's say you're going to a function or a meeting and you just took a long flight. You might want to get ready a little, right? So we've provided the facility for that as well in the vehicle. This is our factory. I mean, this is not the current picture. Currently, the factory looks a lot different. But these are the car in the center is what you all must have seen on YouTube and our website and everything. Operation Reverse Brain, I just mentioned. We're building an exceptional engineering culture. We want everybody in the company to they have a drive to build from scratch. Wanting to build their own stuff, not wanting to just work for a company, get your salary and be happy with the service you've done. Building from scratch is the culture, and that's my background also. I've always liked building stuff. I've helped so many companies build stuff, and that's what we do at Pravaig. So, yeah, production capacity is 250 megawatt per annum starting December this year. That's the capacity right now. We have a clean room in the facility where we make our own batteries, and we'll probably be able to make 15 to 16 battery packs a day. That's the throughput. Moving forward, we also, I mentioned in the beginning that there are two things that we do. One is, of course, e-mobility, and it's always going to be our core competency. But we also make stationary storage devices. So you make UPSs. The same battery pack that goes in the car, you can tweak it a little, and then you can provide it as a UPS to data centers and power grids, right? Where you need, you might need huge backup for just 4 minutes, 3 minutes. So those kind of applications, this is a very, very good solution compared to your traditional lead acid. Lead acid requires too much real estate. It's too big to provide the same amount of energy that lithium ion provides. So this is something that we're also into. There is a separate team working on this. Yeah. So guys, we're I just showed this is our factory. I mean, it's rendered up here, but this is actually our factory, and this is how it looks. And yeah, so we're probably the most trending EV four-wheeler startup in India right now. And guys, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. You can reach out directly to anyone from my team, and we'll be happy to just let me just do this. Yeah, so that's about it, guys. I hope I was able to give you some perspective about EV, not just the rosy picture that everyone paints. Build a nice car and fast car and go fast, 0 to 100 in 2.9 seconds. And there are real challenges, there are problems, but nothing that we as Mekis can't solve. So that's about it, guys. So I'm open to questions. I'll be happy to answer your questions.
Yes, sir. Now we'll move to the Q&A session.
Sure.
So one person has a doubt.
Yeah.
What if the car stops in a remote area where there's no charging facility?
Okay. So that's a situation that will not likely happen because you will always, as a driver, you'll always know the state of charge. It's called SOC. So you have to see that's the mindset change that has to come in now from moving from your traditional your IC engines to electric. What do you also do in IC engines? Every time your fuel tank goes to reserve, you then start looking for a petrol bunk, and you're on a highway. Let's say the same situation. You're a remote area, and you hit reserve. You start looking for a gas station, right? And most likely in next 15 to 20 kilometers, you'll have a gas station. That's pretty much how they spread out in India. With respect to charging, it will take, I would say, 5 to 10 years to reach that point for electric. But you'll have to be the same thing. You'll have a display in front of you as being the driver, and it'll show you the state of charge. It'll tell you how many more kilometers you can go driving the way you're driving currently. So you will have to plan out your journey. So that's the key. For phase one, like I said, we're only going to launch as a taxi in Delhi and Bangalore, and it's not going to be outstation taxi. It's going to be urban. So the problem we're trying to solve is here is urban transport problem. You're wasting a lot of time in that car. You're not riding a good. You're not getting a good ride, and it's petrol diesel emitting a lot of fumes and smoke. So what we're trying to the gap we're trying to fill, or the problem we're trying to solve, is the urban problem. So this is not a problem that Pravaig will face in phase one, but it's a good question. It is a real problem, and the way you'll have to do is you'll have to plan out your journey. When you see your state of charge coming down to, let's say, less than 50 kilometers, then you start planning to go to the closest charging station. So that's the answer to that.
We have another question.
Yeah.
How are we going to deal with the problem of limited number of power stations in India?
See, that's a very policy type question. It's a very, 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 very good and valid question because, and I'm super happy that you guys are thinking of these problems as, and not just asking me how many kilometers private car can go. So it's a good question. So the government has announced that they're going to change some policy next year for power generation and grid. How to like I said, even if 30% of the cars become electric now, they won't be. There's not enough power to supply and charge all these cars, and that's a big problem. So, how are we going to deal? See, one big solution that the US has done, and something that we should also look at, is um, e- encouraging nuclear power. Right. So there are a lot of nuclear power stations in India that are not functioning right now. For obvious reasons, there were some protests, and they're not dumping the waste properly and all of that. But the future is renewable energy. You need more power. India needs a lot more power. We've done something last year. Was what we've done is we've built one of the largest solar farms in the world. I think somewhere in Gujarat. So these kind of initiatives will counter the problem of power stations. When you say limited power stations, I'm sure you mean coal thermal power plants, right? So there are ways to tackle that.
Yeah, we have another question.
Yeah.
How can one start a startup in electric vehicles if one doesn't have enough capital?
You need passion and you need the will. That's all. You will get capital. Whoever asked this, Anshambar, all you need is the will and few like-minded people wanting to build something great. Capital will come running. I'm not even joking. You might need to move to a city city like Bangalore or Pune, because Bangalore's turning out to be the EV hub for India. So you will, if you have a good value proposition, right? If you're just making another electric car that gives 300-kilometer range, nobody's going to give you more capital. If you're coming to disrupt the industry, you have a good problem to solve, which is what I personally believe mechanical engineering is all about. If you have a good problem to solve, money will come running.
Yeah, we have another question. Do electric cars cause as much pollution as diesel cars overall because of extraction of precious minerals needed for making batteries and all?
Okay, so that process is, you're right. It's not. So I'll tell you, when I say clean, EVs are clean, I only mean with respect to emissions, right? I only mean with respect to emissions. Also, the fact that there is in the whole supply chain of EVs, there is no fossil fuel being used. So what will happen is, as you start building electric vehicles, the need to use fossil fuels will just reduce. And so mining those fuels, refineries, all these will also be affected, which is a good thing for us, right? Overall. So it's a you need a very holistic approach to understand EVs. You are right. I'm not saying that there's nothing harmful about EVs. In fact, I don't know if anyone's asked this already, but let me just address this also. The disposal of lithium ion cells is also a very big problem, right? So we have once, let's say your battery in your car lasts 7 to 8 years. After that, what do you do, right? In Pravaig's case, we are going to take the batteries back, and there is a process that we're developing in house. Is there are 2 3 things you can do to the battery. You can recycle it, where you again open up the battery to each individual cell, see actually which cell is can be reused, put them back into the value chain, comes back into your new car, right? Because it has probably 3 4 more years of life left. So that's one aspect of how EVs are also a little polluting because of disposal of battery packs is a challenge. This is also a challenge. The extraction of lithium, which right now is limited to 1 or 2 countries, China pretty much owns that part of the supply chain. Uh, it is, and you know what, I think I don't have the R&D and the data with me. I can't really quantify and tell you that whether the waste produced in this is lesser than the waste produced while using a diesel or petrol. But I can tell you one thing: the cities will become cleaner, the air you breathe will become cleaner, and it'll become healthier. Especially that's the need of the hour, considering Delhi is in already crossed its critical, what do you say, critical stages in terms of air pollution. You can't see people are dying, so that way we'll make a big impact.
We have another question.
Yeah.
Sir, we have heard about different charger types and the standards, making
Yeah.
it difficult to access charging. Will this be a
See,
problem in India too? How can we handle this?
okay, guys, I think you may be too young for this example, but I'm going to give you guys an example. Sony had Walkman series of phone about 15 years back, 15, 17 years back. It was a buzz that time. Everyone had this Sony C. They were the only phone that had headphones with a very unique kind of port. So when we were in college, some of my friends, when they used to lose the headphones, they could not listen to music on their phones. This is pre-wireless era, huh? Pre you needed wired earphones only from your phone provider to listen to music. And so that time, most of the other phones adapted to the 3.5 mm jack. So same problem. There is this problem. What will happen is it's a question of IP. See, when a company has invested a lot of money, a lot of capital, human talent to build some system, they don't want to give it away for free. This is a mindset that has to change, and Indians are generally like that. We want to control like everything. So this will be a problem, yes, I agree. But there are companies dedicatedly working towards making universal chargers, right? So there's this company called STPL. They make SWPL, Smith Wilson and something. They've tied up. They've actually going to set up a charging network all across India. Those will be universal. So your let's say you buy your car from Tata or Mercedes. They have electric cars, or Hyundai, and they give you a charger. Uh, what will happen eventually is, maybe let's say in the next 5 to 10 years, is there will be universality. There will be commonality between the charger and your port. It's not so right now, but it's one of those hurdles that we're going to cross. Yeah.
Another question. Will there be a centralized charging company or will there be profit companies competing in the EV charging space?
There will be. So there will be guys having charging network different from the electric vehicle company. So, for example, Pravaig's chargers, at least for phase one, all the charging network is going to be owned by Pravaig. We're going to set up our own charging network. all centralized right now for phase one, because ours are anyway taxis, right? So after the end of their drive, the day they will come back to charge in our place in our network. So, but in the future, you will have companies that only make charging network. So they will what they will do is they will charge a certain sum, a subscription. So I'll give you an example. So I'm traveling, let's say, from Bangalore to Chennai. I have a 5 to 6 hour drive. I might need to charge my car. So they'll have set up a charging station or two charging stations on the highway, and I'll have to pay a certain amount, fixed amount or a subscription. If I'm a regular commuter between Chennai and Bangalore, I pay a subscription, and then I'll be able to access the third party charger. Otherwise, I'll have to rely on right now if I'm driving a Hyundai, I have to rely on a Hyundai charger somewhere. But the aim right now is to make commonality, right? Commonize everything.
Another question: how much electric energy will it take to charge? Because if the electric bill comes more than the cost of petrol, then how will people be willing to take it?
Good question, interesting question. So I'll answer it in a different way. So how much? Okay, depends on what you have, which vehicle do you use currently, and how much you already spend. See, I'll just give an example. For example, right now with the current diesel prices, I drive a diesel car, and Pravaig is a factory in the industrial area, and I stay in the city. So I drive. My uh, fuel expenses per month itself is right now currently is about 9,000 rupees a month. 9,000 rupees a month, right? Now, in EV, your cost to run 1 kilometer, 1 kilometer running cost is just 1 rupee. Okay, for 9,000 rupees, I probably run 4 into 75, 280 into 4, little over 1,200 kilometers. I run 1,100 kilometers. So what cost me 9,000 is now costing me less than 1,000 rupees, right? So, and how many charges do I need to run 1,200 kilometers in a Pravaig? Two charges, two and a half charges. And if you connect your AC and charge your car, it's not going to, nothing close to even, it's, the bill is not going to come more than what you currently are using already. So in your current situation, you have electricity bill and your fuel bill. In scenario two, you have electric car charging bill and electricity bill. The sum on the scenario two is going to be lesser than the sum on the scenario one. To answer your question plainly, the bill is not going to be more than, that's not a concern at all.
Yeah, another question: how do you solve problems regarding insertion of malwares through charging?
I mean, so there are dedicated companies on the service and software side of EVs. Praveg also has a team, but I'm not sure about this. I don't want to say the wrong thing because this is something that absolutely I don't look into and have no idea about. But it's a good question. If this is the case, then I'm sure it's being solved right now. That's not a problem at all. See, the thing is, please note that some of the biggest companies in the world have already entered EV space some years ago itself. So they're constantly, I mean, they need, see, Mercedes, Benz, BMW, etc., are selling their electric cars to Indian customers at a premium, 1.5, 2 crores each car. They have already set right these problems. Otherwise, they don't launch. So I'm sure this is being tackled. So you don't have to worry about this at all. How it's being solved? I'm sorry, I'm not the right person to say anything about this because I have no idea. I'm a hardcore mechanic engineer. Is Praveg working on hybrid cars? Okay. No. No. Chandra. No,
Yes,
Chandra.
we
It's,
have another question.
yeah. Tell
Yes,
me,
sir.
Chandra. Working on hybrid
There's
cars. Okay, no?
another question here. Yeah. Do EVs require regular maintenance services and etc.?
No. So, compared to your cars, your traditional, your standard IC engine cars, uh, you service it, I think it's once a year or every 10,000 kilometers. So, but if you're a real mechanical engineer, you know how much you have driven your car, you can actually decide when to charge your car, when to service your car. But in EV, there's nothing like service. You can't open up the battery. Just remember, all of you should remember that the battery pack in a car is like a bomb, right? It's fully sealed, it's structurally sealed, it's also insulated from the passenger side, right? So you can't really, even the way we pack the battery, we can't open it and reuse it again. So just know that in your EV, the only thing you'll have to, when you say maintenance, is wheel alignment. And maybe your motor might have some leak or something like that. You might have to rectify that. And of course, on the inside, you might have some software things that you want, some bug, something that they can connect the system and readily repair it. So to answer your question, you won't have the regular service headaches that you have in automotive standard cars, IC cars.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Now we have reached the end of the Q&A session. Thank you for taking time from your busy schedule to interact with us virtually, sir, and educate the students with your knowledge and experience. We had a wonderful time interacting with you, sir. We got to know the new aspects related to EV and the Pravig's focus. And it's been a privilege hosting you for the Synergy Outreach Guest Lecture event. I'm sure the audience too would have enjoyed learning new things. We would like to express our gratitude to our youth partner and sponsor, Boom Panda, for their constant support. Last but not least, we would like to thank everyone for joining us today in the pre symposium program, Scintilla, and we would want you all to participate in the main symposium program, Synergy, as well. Follow our Instagram handle to stay updated.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you. Hi. So I'd just like to say thanks, guys. Thanks to the team organizing Scintilla, and all the best for Synergy. And I don't know how many people did we have in today's session, Sindhuja? Approximately how many people in the audience?
I'm not sure, sir. I
Okay.
guess.
So I'm
Yeah,
glad I
more
could
than
do this.
100.
Okay, okay.
More than
Good
100
guys.
live right now.
Good, 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 good. Glad you guys could make it on a Sunday. I know you all had a heavy night, at least as mechanical engineers we used to. Okay, guys. Congrats. All the best. You all can connect with me on LinkedIn. Connect with my company. You can anyone in the fourth year interested in internship in the job. Please reach out to us. We're always on the lookout for talent. And you know. I don't know. NIT Trichy is very close to me. I have some of my very, very close friends are graduates from NIT Trichy. Of course, they passed out in 2007, 2008. So way, way, way senior team. But yeah, good. All the best. Congrats. And I hope the session was more interesting than a classroom class. So that's about it, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.